Destiny's cosmology for those who work 40 to 80-hour work weeks, especially for those who have 8-hour turnarounds. Did I get your attention? Good. So I uploaded my cosmology video the other day. Only issue is, it's 94 minutes. If you have an hour and a half to throw away, good, you'll enjoy it. For other people, they don't have the time. So, in order to cater to more people, so that they too can learn the lore of Destiny, I'm cutting the cosmology video down into segments and uploading videos on the specific segments themselves. That way, you don't have to watch the entire video just to learn one little thing the experimental video bot can't tell you. With that out of the way, I hope you enjoyed this first video on Destiny's Cosmos. Starting with the physical universe, what is it? The easiest answer is, it is the place where all the story stuff that's important occurs 9 out of 10 times. Your PvP games, your gambits, your nightfall strikes, dungeons, raids, exotic missions, so on and so forth. While content of that sort does exist outside of the physical universe, a lot of that content you'll see mostly inside the physical universe. To those of you from the anime, manga, book, or other such communities, if you're newer to Destiny, the complex sensor is not quite so easy to explain. What I will do is put it to you like this without getting into any jargon. The physical universe is not the only realm in the cosmology with a specific job. In the entire cosmos, all the realms within it have their own job. The Pale Heart, for example, is more or less the Traveler's brain. We go in there and we're able to commune with the Traveler much more easily rather than outside of it. That's what the Pale Heart is. It's basically this throne world, big, giant brain thing. Another example, which is something a lot of people outside of the franchise know Destiny for, is the Ascendant Plane. The Ascendant Plane not only has the power of darkness inside of it, but also is governed by the power of darkness itself. Darkness is not physical, and it acts in a way that isn't physical, that is only tangible by beings who can enter that place or who live in that place. That is the job of the Ascendant Plane, to act as the other half of the physical. Another example would be the ley lines, which is able to defy the rules we have for dimensional travel, which is you cannot go from one part of the cosmos to the other conventionally. The ley lines are what we have to circumvent that. They can go to about anywhere in the cosmology if arranged in a certain way. Think of the ley lines as a set of cosmology-wide plant roots that took a lot of ketamine. Then, moving on to the subject of this segment, the physical universe. The job of the physical universe is to hold life within it. Life that can only be created or born physically. Something that cannot be manifested out of simply nothing. A place where you can only follow the rules of life, the rules of physics, the rules of reality, of all of space and time. Rules that we would expect within the universe you are watching this video in. The physical universe holds host to this kind of life. You'll typically see guardians, which can either be awoken, exos, humans, and in some reports, Ahamkara, and even other races than just Ahamkara. We have a lot of unconfirmed reports at this time, but know that the subject of Guardian Kind is very broad and who's a part of it. But do note that Guardian Kind all share the same vision, even if they see that vision differently, which is the protection of the last city from all of those who would dare oppose it. Alright, so I established the dynamic of the physical universe. What about the stuff that's inside of it? Good question. So, to my veteran fans, do we all remember Season of Dawn? While I won't add multiple seasons worth of content in this video to make it over 5 hours, here's what I will bring up. The sundial on Mercury shows that an individual planet has an infinite amount of possible futures. That is beyond countably conceivable. That is an individual planet alone, which is an infinite multiverse of its own localized making. That's just a planet. You have 9 planets in the solar system, stars, black holes, and other cosmologically dubious events. If a freaking planet alone is more than a universe, what do you think of other celestial bodies in the physical universe would even act like? One such bizarre and extreme example would be the moon Nessus. Nessus is a moon which has 10 dimensions. Also, time itself on Nessus is not linear. The past, present, and future can all meet itself in one localized point in time. If the universe was supposedly simple, of only having 4 dimensions in it, why is it that multiple parts of the cosmology defy 4th and even 5th dimensional rules of time and space? Just something I would want you to consider. That's mostly it for the physical universe. It's the domain of the light. It's way bigger than a mere universe when it holds a multiverse of all things inside of it, and it is one of the most significant parts of the cosmology. To say it is very powerful would be understating it, but at the same time, there's no need to overcomplicate it, other than, hey, it holds the Traveler and the Veil inside of it, so that's all I'd really have to say about the physical universe. I have 3 more things I wanted to talk about, but didn't want to disrupt the flow of the music, so here we are. First, black holes are literal universes. I am not giving you bull. This is from the game. I assure you, you are not nuts for seeing this. Believe me, I was the first time I saw it. Second, let's talk about the Elixni. The Elixni are a race of beings within the solar system primarily that do their best to get around and survive. They're usually not the most powerful of combatants, but physically they are not lacking in comparison to Guardian kind, Cabal, and other such races. There's a misconception that they're weak. No, they're not weak. If they weren't dangerous, they won't be able to physically hurt you. Even if the Guardian is stronger than basically every Elixni nowadays, that's because the Guardian's a top tier. Of course they're not going to be as powerful as him. The Elixni race as a whole are supposed to look like captains, but because they've been starving for a long time, lack materials, and lack shelter, of course they're not going to look as impressive. But oh my, they do a lot with what little they have. Going by the logic that the Elixni are pure and utter garbage, why is it that Insurrection Prime versus Galron or Insurrection Prime versus Raven is debatable? They all released in the same time frame in the Forsaken content release here, so why is it for being as trash as they are, supposedly, that Insurrection Prime, using just the scraps the Elixni have on them, is able to go toe-to-toe physically with these bosses? On another note, let's talk about the white elephant in the room, the Siva. We get Ash and Iron sometime after the release of Edge of Fate. But I want to talk about Axis Prime. Among the Destiny 1 raid bosses, there's always the debate between Atheon and Axis Prime. You want to know the truth behind it? Even if we said Atheon had more Haxi-based abilities, like Erasure or Teleportation, Axis Prime not only speed blitzes, but just nukes Atheon repeatedly with attacks. And also, the Siva has the strength to infect the Vex. The Siva was made by Rasputin. Mind you, this same Rasputin was made to hard counter Vex and other beings who could threaten the Clovis Bray Corporation. You know, after he was turned into an interplanetary defense weapon. Like, people often forget, Siva's good, but what they also forget about Siva is Rasputin made it! Last, let's talk about the Cabal. The Cabal are certainly a lot more understood compared to the other races. The Red War, Empress Keitel, and Emperor Callus all serve as the three figureheads of the race of the Cabal you look at and say, hey, those guys are pretty impressive. They can probably fight a Guardian. The Cabal are very powerful, but it's not just their strength, it's their technology. They have the ability to clone themselves, which is completely terrifying. They have very strong shields, which are very bulky, and they have light suppression tech. In Season of Haunted, there was a nightmare that was manifested by Callus and the ship that the Guardian could not defeat on their own. The Guardian then led the nightmare down a pathway, and then they went out the exit. It turns out it was an incinerator, and specifically, this incinerator was jury-rigged by Kaido's Cabal to close the door on the nightmare, so they're stuck in the incinerator, then they turn it on. Said incinerator literally burnt an abstract existence to death. How do you burn an abstract existence to death with fire? I will never know. But this is why I treat Destiny in the same way I treat DC and Marvel Comics. Which is, it does whatever it wants, it's chaos, and we're all just here for the ride, whether we like it or not. That's all I had for this extra segment on top of the physical universe. I hope this was more informative than the physical universe segment in the video, as I had to make several compromises to, keep it under 2 hours. Anyway, if you like this video, please like, share, and sub. That's always nice. The sharing and the likes are amazing. You guys are the greatest, and that will never ever change. Anyway, I will see y'all later, and hopefully you watch the following cosmology videos that I release.